Welcome to another episode of the Focus Bee Show. Today I'm here with Phil Pelucha. Phil is the CEO of Billionaire in Boxes, a top-rated podcast and radio show, and he's also the founder of the School of Spiritual Entrepreneurs. Thank you so much for joining the show today, Phil.
Thank you for having me. It's brilliant to be here.
As the CEO of Billionaire Boxes and the founder of the School of Spiritual Entrepreneurs, how do you feel that mindfulness and high performance or wealth are related?
They're intrinsically linked, I think. You can't really have true success without kind of understanding the mindset and the well-being and all that sort of stuff. I mean, a lot of people, entrepreneurs that I've come across over the years, they kind of have this mentality of, I'll take better care of myself when I'm successful. Like I will earn a certain amount of money, then I'll get a personal trainer, then I'll start eating better and taking more care of myself. And actually, one of the most valuable lessons I ever learned from my mentors, many of them are actually billionaires and self-made multimillionaires and some really awesome people, is that when you have money, it just kind of enhances the person you already are. So if you're a stressed out person that's eating junk food and literally flying off adrenaline all the time, that's all you're going to be when you have $1 million or $10 million or whatever it is in the bank. So the change kind of has to happen now. Like you have to be the person that you want to become. It's as simple as that. And I think when people realize that, life becomes a lot less stressful. It becomes a lot more fun. We were talking off air, weren't we? And what I like to call the virtual green room, about kind of recognizing where you need to invest your energy. And once you've kind of got a clearer picture of that, life becomes so much better. And, a big one that I had to take on the chin myself, because it was one that I wasn't ever very good at, was I'm a real giver. Like I love to give to people. That's like where I get my energy. Like the things that I teach, I practice what I preach, and I do it for myself. I genuinely get more of a buzz when I help my clients achieve a feat rather than me achieving that feat. But one of the things I really had to take on the chin was that I have to be able to recover to be able to give more of me. Like I can't just ignore me in this equation. Like I have to take care of myself. I have to rest. I have to recover in order to give my clients everything that they need and the best version of me.
Absolutely. And it's funny because it almost sounds like an obligation. I have to take care of myself. I have to maybe take my weekends off.
Do you know what? It still feels a bit like that. I mean, I still have to force myself to stop. I mean, I genuinely love what I do and I get a lot of energy from it. So the hardest thing in the world for me is on a Friday when I'm absolutely buzzing and I've had a great week of conversations and I've got all these ideas flying around my head. It kind of does feel like an obligation that I have to force myself to stop for the Saturday and the Sunday to rest and recover. And if it was just a case of, well, I need to rest for me, I think I'd probably skip it. I think I'd go, well, I'm feeling all right. I'll just push on. I'll do some more work. But if I say to myself, no, the clients that are speaking to me on the Monday deserve me fresh, focused, and the best possible version of me, that helps me to say, okay, take that step back. These great ideas will still be here on Monday. So let's pick them up then.
Yes, it's interesting. So it's really focusing on the other people and knowing you need to have that energy. You need to be rested in order to give them the best service. So it comes from a very giving place. I also saw in your profile that you practice transcendental meditation. I was thinking maybe people listening to this don't know what it is or how to start. I was wondering if you could share a few words about it and how it's benefited your life, what results you've seen in your life from it.
Ooh, good question. It's hard to answer what results I've had from it because I've done it since the age of 11. So I kind of don't know a time without it. What I would say is that I definitely notice the times in my life that are harder are the times when I forgot to meditate for a while. Yeah, I use meditation a lot. A lot, actually, the more I think about it. So I use it to kind of make most important decisions. So I have a saying that I use quite a lot, which is You need to make more decisions with your heart and less with your head, because your head doesn't know any more than you do. So instead of sitting there with a pen and paper, stressing, trying to figure stuff out, there are two ways that I go and get those answers. Number one is I will go and network with people here, obviously in the physical plane, and I will go and talk to them about, everything. What do you think we should do with this? How would you achieve it? I'm a big believer in you don't have to reinvent the wheel. So go and speak to people who've already been there and done that. But then ultimately it all comes down to how I feel about something. So I have an exercise that I do through meditation that I call trying on feelings. And essentially what it is I will get myself into a state of relaxation using my mantra, getting into a nice place meditatively, or indeed I'll use a guided meditation. I'll give a couple of names of people I really like, because that's where I'd start if I was starting again today. Would be kind of like these online guided stuff, because there's some really cool ones out there. But I will try on different feelings and emotions. So I'll run through a scenario in my mind of how a situation could go, and I'll see how I feel about that. And ultimately I will always go with the one that feels best, which drives people around me crazy, because people try and argue the points logically. And it's like, when I put down my talent business, for example, and I closed it, we were doing really well. It was making good money. We were ranked as one of the top people in our industry for what we did. And I just fell out of love with it. I just said, I don't want to do this anymore. It doesn't feel right. And I had everybody around me explaining why this was a bad idea. It can make money, it can help people, it can do this. It's like, all of your points are great, but it doesn't feel right anymore. And if it doesn't feel right, I'm not going to carry on doing it. Because that was the whole point of becoming an entrepreneur in the first place, was that the corporate world no longer felt right. I could have had another 20, 30, 40-year career at board level, but it sucked. I hated it. I didn't want to do it anymore. So I use it a lot for that. I also use it a lot for just really taking some time to reflect and sit back and really kind of just process what's going on. Because often, there's the expression isn't that you can't see the wood for the trees. We all get like that. Like we're just so intense on the day to day that actually being able to meditate and take a bird's eye view of it and just sort of take a step back is actually a really powerful tool. So it has had a huge impact on my life. I can't tell you exactly what, because I think it's probably intrinsically linked to everything that we do and on all the success that we've had. But I would definitely recommend two names in particular for your audience, and they're both on YouTube as well, which is pretty cool. One of them is, in fact, they're both Australian guys. Maybe I should move to Australia. One of them is called Jason Stevenson with a PH, and the other one is called Michael Seeley. And both of them do very, very good guided meditations for whatever it is you want, whether it's a body scan, mindfulness, pump up for the day, wind down to help you sleep, spirit guide, Akashic records, whatever it is. Like, you could just go down the rabbit hole with these guys and go get lost, because you will learn a lot from it. And they're really impressive. Like, I really enjoy them.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing those names, and I will put them in the show notes. And I love the three different aspects you mentioned. One of them was sort of external, seeking other people for inspiration and ideas and advice, not reinventing the wheel, like you said. And the other two were more internal and meditation. One of them, which was linked to the feelings. And I love this, like tapping into intuition. Does this feel right for me? And then from there, making the decision. And the other one, which is one of the huge benefits of meditation, is being able to have that sort of external perspective, because we get so caught up in our loop and our thoughts that it can be hard to have this external perspective. Have you noticed the difference with people, for example, who don't ever practice meditation?
Yeah. So, and I've seen the difference between people who have never meditated before and then find meditation, and that's an incredible thing to behold, because there's never really a downtime for those people who don't meditate. You never really get that outside perspective. You never really get that inner peace. You're constantly running 100 miles an hour, trying to fight fires, solve problems. I mean, one of the things that doesn't really get talked about enough, in my opinion, I mean, In fact, I'd almost argue that most of the gurus out there at the moment are making this problem worse. They're all selling the hustle lifestyle, aren't they? Hustle, 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 and everything's going to get better. And it's like, that's such terrible advice, because actually you want to work smarter, not harder. It's not about working 100 hours a week. It's about earning the same amount of money that you would working 100 hours a week, but working 10 hours a week. Like, how are you going to do that? And it's not about constantly pushing yourself to that next level. I mean, it makes it sound like a fight all the time. And actually, I can honestly tell you from I've had different stages of my life. I've had the stages where I have done that and I fought hard for everything I had. And then I've had the stages where everything just kind of feels like you're in flow and it's effortless and it's like, this is fun. Like, I could do this all day. And more people need to be talking about how you achieve that state of flow and how you get to that effortless point. And what you often find is that there's a bit of a divide between the people who will talk about spirituality and mindfulness and all that sort of stuff, and the people who teach you about entrepreneurship. And they're connected. They're one and the same. Like, I'll give you a great example. A lot of clients that come to me all say the same thing. So they typically 3 to 5 years in, sometimes a bit longer. They will be doing between 1 and 5 million US turnover, but they feel like they've hit a ceiling. The owner wants to be focused on growth and progression and how do we achieve that next level. And instead they're busy fighting fires and dealing with day to day in their business. And it's driving them crazy, because the only way that they can see to achieve that next level is to work 10 to 12 hours a day on helping their business stay afloat, and then commit additional time so that they can focus on the growth. But you're working too hard, and like, you're never going to be able to see the great things in front of you if you're working that many hours. It's not going to happen. And even just by introducing kind of, I talk about global networking and how that really changed my life. And it's a big part of what we teach people now through our coaching work is, if you want to unlock that next level, it's about networking with people at that level. But there's a secret to that. Okay. And the secret to that is that you have to match their frequency to be able to speak to them, because positive people don't want to hang around negative people. It's whether it's a conscious decision or a subconscious decision, really doesn't make any difference. We've all had that in our lives, and what I'm saying is right. We've all had that situation where we've met somebody and we've gone, this is somebody that I really want to be part of my life. Like, I feel like I've known you forever. Like, this is great. We're gelling. We get on really well. And then we've done the opposite, which is where we've met somebody and gone, oh no, they're a real drain of energy, that person. Like, I really don't want to be around them. Well, business owners are the same, and really successful people are the same. So if you as a business owner say to me, Phil, I want to get to the point where I'm speaking as a keynote speaker at loads of my industry's top events. Well, that's actually really simple to do. You just network with more of the people who organize those events and network with the people who are the keynote speakers at those events at the moment. However, if you approach them with the wrong frequency, they're not going to want to engage with you. Your vibe equals your tribe. So if you don't raise that vibration, by the time you get there, they're going to go, oh, I don't like that guy. And actually, it's doing more damage than good. Whereas if you can use meditation to fall back in love with what it is that you do, you can have that perspective, you can focus on your essence, the thing that makes you tick, whatever it is you want to call it, and then go and meet those people, they're going to see that vibration in you. They're going to hear it in your voice. They're going to hear it in your excitement, and they're going to go, this is someone I want to spend time with. And that's when the magic starts to happen.
You just revealed like a massive secret that people aren't aware of, and you said it so beautifully. And when this happens to people in networking relationships, sometimes they're not even able to put words on it. So there'll be this click or there'll be this rejection, and somewhere they'll know that it's because it's coming from a low place, because they've been feeling low and stressed out and burnt out. Therefore, they keep getting no's from potential clients, from speaking engagements. And as soon as they start to feel better and they start running again or meditating or eating healthily, they start getting yes. And they might realize it, but they might not be able to put the word you put on it. And it's exactly what you said. At the end of the day, it's simple. People want to hang out with you. If you're positive and happy or fulfilled or whatever the word it is, if you bring them that feeling of joy and positivity, because they want more of that. However, if you make them feel stressed because you're so stressed, they don't want to hang out with you.
So true. I guess the problem is it also happens the other way, which is that if you're a negative person, you end up finding yourself hanging around with other negative people. Like if you're throwing yourself a pity party, you'll find other people who are quite happy to join you in that pity party because they're having their own as well. But the really successful people that you need to attract into your life, like I always say, business is a team sport, okay? And the better players you have on your team, both internally and externally, will determine how successful you are. So you can be the best in the world at what it is that you do, but if you aren't surrounded by great team members, you're screwed, okay? So this is where that kind of vibration and attracting those people into your life really comes into it. And when I say attracting people into your life, I don't mean kind of sitting on your sofa going, I really wish I could find someone to love me, and hoping someone's just going to knock on the door and be like, hey, are you single? Like that's not how this works. You still have to take the action. But it's like 3 steps, isn't it? It's get your vibe, then network, see who the network is, then take the action. And if you miss one of those ingredients, it's not going to work.
Yes, it's always also about taking action. There's this sort of misconception a lot of the time that attraction and the law of attraction and manifestation comes from just hoping or visualizing, but there is the action part afterwards.
Very much so, but it's action with intention. That's the point. I mean, we're very blessed that actually in the Billionaires in Boxers network, we actually have a number of the coaches who were in the Secret movie, Underburn's Secret movie, and they work with us very closely. We got to do some great interviews with them on one of the sequels, which was How Thoughts Become Things, which was a movie by Doug Vermeeren, who's an awesome guy. Love Doug. Got a lot of time for Doug. Hey, Doug, if you're listening. And what I learned from them was exactly that. It's like a lot of people say things like, the law of attraction doesn't work for me. I tried it. And typically, one of 2 things has happened there. Number 1, you've just sat and thought about it, but you haven't taken any action. Okay. The second thing is you've thought about it only with your head and not with your heart. You have to feel that emotion. You have to have that intention. You have to, like, I always say the same thing, which is I don't like goals. I think goals are really counterproductive because goals are essentially like putting the blinkers on yourself. And then every decision that you make from that point is this getting me closer towards my goal? But the universe has such a better plan for you than you do. Like stuff is very rarely direct, like I remember I wanted to start doing our movie. So we got a movie that we're doing at the end of 2021. It's the first movie I've ever done. Now, I ended up having a conversation with somebody that introduced me to a world-class movie director who's won all kinds of awards, one of the biggest names in the industry. But I didn't know that they knew that person. So I didn't go into that conversation thinking I'm getting an introduction to this person. So if my intention had just been the movie and blinkered thinking, I never would have had that discussion, which opened that door. So for me, it's more about having a destination, but that destination 9 times out of 10 is a feeling. So it's taking it deeper than most people want to take it. It's like, what's your big goal? Well, my big goal is that I want to make $10 million, right? Okay. Well, why $10 million? How are you going to feel when you have that $10 million? What are you going to do when you have that $10 million? What lifestyle do you live? Where do you live? Who do you talk to? What do you do in your spare time? How do you eat? How do you converse? Because if you can focus on those things, 2 things can happen. Number 1, you've got your feeling. So now you've got your intention. So now when you take action, you're heading towards that intention. But the great thing is now you can start to enjoy the journey as well, because you might not be able to live in that multi-million-dollar house right now, but you can still eat the fresh fruit for breakfast that you imagine yourself eating every day whilst living in that house. You can still go for a run. You can still go and play golf. You can still go and network with the people that you want to see. Don't own the yacht yet? Fine. Go for a walk around the harbor and talk to the other guys that do. You can start to take steps right now to start living that lifestyle that you want. And that way you can enjoy the journey as well as just the destination, which is so important.
Yes, it's the most important, really, because often we feel that when we arrive at the destination or the goal, like you said, or the outcome, then we can eat fresh fruit in the morning, or then we can, start meditating. But
Yeah.
it's before, and we'll enjoy it more, and we're more likely to reach the destination. And also, I feel maybe you feel similar to this, but having set goals and reached a lot of the goals I have set, I also realized that the impact that it has isn't that huge.
No, it's not.
And then when I looked back, I realized that it was more about the learning I got along the way, the growing, the
The
helping things.
journey.
Yeah, the journey. For instance,
Yeah.
when I began, I remember, because I speak 4 languages, I remember thinking I want to coach in these 4 languages. And I actually forgot that I reached that goal. I didn't even realize. It was only
That's
afterwards,
cool.
when I was doing the video and putting it together and I had the testimonials in 4 languages, I was like, oh, I reached that goal. But it was
That's
more
awesome.
about while I was doing it. So, and this is the case with all of the goals. When you reach them, it's like, oh, yeah, okay. But it's while you're doing it that it's fun and exciting and you're learning and you're challenging yourself. That's the important part.
It definitely, if you do it in the right way, yes. I mean, we were having this conversation off air. Like, I had a financial target that I wanted to reach, and I was determined that that would constitute success. You know, I was going to be the first person in my family to ever do 1 million. So that's what we're going to do, and that's where we're going. And I nearly killed myself getting there. Like, and I remember actually having a real crash afterwards. And I don't really talk about this very often on podcasts, but given the subject, I think it's important. In the weeks and months after achieving it, I was miserable. I was really miserable because I kind of imagined that once I got there, I'd feel happy, and I didn't. You know, and then I started to have this thought process in my mind, like, maybe I need two, like, or maybe five, like maybe that's when I'll be happy. But I was looking around me, and like, I was about 25 kgs heavier than I am now. My I'm not gonna say my relationship was in trouble, but it's not as good as it is today, like with my wife and my children, because they never saw me. Like, I was a workaholic, and they just knew that that's the way it was. And like, the kids would get up in the morning, and I'd already be sat downstairs working. And then by the time they go to bed, I'm still sat on the lounge with my laptop on my lap working. And that, I nearly killed myself to get there, I think, is the honest answer. And having now come out the other side of that, we're going to do the same financial target far faster, far quicker, with far more success. And I'm working 2 to 3 hours a day, 5 days a week, and taking every weekend off. And it was because I had the opportunity to really reflect on what was happening, why it was happening. You know, we had the conversation about LinkedIn, didn't we, before we started the call, where, you know, I was doing 3 to 4 hours a day of LinkedIn marketing. So campaigning, connecting with people, Gary Vee's $80 strategy, so just going and commenting on everything, you know, all this kind of stuff. And then when I sat down and did an exercise, I realized that over 80% of our customers come from recommendation and referral, and the rest come from live events and our TV and radio work. So when I looked at it that way, I was like, I can't think of a single client that's come from LinkedIn, not one. So why am I doing this? Like, why am I committing so much time? And it was when I went back and realized it was because everyone's saying LinkedIn's where it's at. LinkedIn's where the business is. You got to be big on LinkedIn. You got to be this. So like, I got to like 20,000 connections on LinkedIn. I don't think any of them have ever bought anything from me. It's like, I mean, now they have, because people are connecting who are customers, but not the other way around. Like, connections didn't become customers. Customers became connections. And it was like, this is pointless. Like, this is a waste of time. So I stopped doing it, and I instantly got half my day back, and nothing changed in my business. So when you reconnect with that essence, and it's like, do you know what? That financial goal didn't make me happy. You know, I've a friend of mine, his big goal was to own this multi-million-dollar house in this really nice place where a lot of the footballers live from the team that he supports. And he wanted a bright white Range Rover Sport. That was his idea of success. And he got there and was miserable because, again, he ran himself into the ground to get there, and was like, this really sucks. Like, I think I'd have been happier, you know, in a smaller house with a crappier car and more time to spend with my family. And I started to realize more and more that was definitely the case. Like, it's a question I ask all of my clients when they're coming on board. So I'm giving away a little bit of a secret here. I always say, there's one guy who earned $1 million this year, but he works 6 days a week. His wife probably wants a divorce because she never sees him, and he doesn't really have a great relationship with his kids. Okay. And there's another guy who earned $100,000 this year, but he only works 3 days a week. He has a great marriage, and he gets to spend the rest of the week with his kids. Which one is successful? Because if your answer is the guy with $1 million, we shouldn't be working together. And and I stand by that, because if your aim is to become an authority figure and an influencer in your industry, to help and empower people, yes, uplift your business and have the success that comes from that, but do so in the right way. Like, I don't want to be the reason that you end up in a box. I don't want to give you more work when you already can't handle the work that you've got right now. So a lot of the work that we do is about that mindset shift. And the amount of people actually that end up coming out of this process where they are now recognized as an authority in their field, and the very first thing they do is hire an MD to run the business for them so that they can just focus on their family and being the authority figure that their business deserves, is incredible. Because people realize, as you said it really well earlier, it's like once you recognize where your energy should be focused, it's very difficult to stop looking at it. And once you felt how great it feels to be in flow and be doing the things that are helping you and your business and your family, it's very difficult to then go and do something that's the complete opposite of that. It doesn't feel right anymore. There you go. We're back to feelings again. But it doesn't, does it? It doesn't feel right. You're like, I'm spending 6 hours doing emails and dealing with crap in my business. Like, someone else can do this. Like, why am I the person that's doing this? This is silly. Like, I could be doing so much more for my business than this right now.
Yes, you shared so many golden nuggets, I don't even know where to start. But I think one of them would be exactly the link with the feelings, and also how so many people aim for goals that actually won't make them happy. Like this example with the car or the house.
Yep.
And that's really sad, especially when focusing on goals that are material possessions, because it tends to happen every time. And even in my case, with the goal with coaching in different languages, yes, it made me happy, but not the fact I could coach in different languages. And now 99% of the time I coach in English anyway. But
Yep.
it was the process, it was learning, and it was the challenge. But even with material possessions, I feel that there's this expectation somehow. And do you feel that this comes from society? Why is it that people chase goals that at the end won't make them happy? What is this all about, really?
I think a lot of it comes back to that industrial revolution mindset, doesn't it? Of you work to a city, you move, you study, you go to school, you go to college, you go to university, you move to the city, you get a job, you work hard, you work your way up, you get promoted when you work harder than everybody else. And then eventually you'll achieve the goal where you kind of feel like all that hard work was worth it. Well, the Industrial Revolution is dead, people. It has been for quite some time. And we live now in more of the age of the entrepreneur, the age of the boutique agency, the age of being able to pick the clients you want to work with and work with them digitally anywhere in the world, the age of being able to recruit the best people for the job, not the best people for the job who live 60 minutes away from the office. It's a very different time now, and people are still trying to apply that mindset. And the problem is it's being perpetuated by a lot of these coaches and gurus, and I won't name them, but I'm sure we can all think of a handful of them. Hustle and grind and work hard and keep pushing, and, the high ticket closers of this world that are like push, 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 and all this kind of stuff. And it's, for me, like, I think Tim Ferriss was closer to the truth with his 4-hour work week. And, what happens is people can't see how that's going to work. It's a mindset shift. So they're saying, if I'm not earning $200,000 a year and living this life that I really want to live right now, and I'm working 45 hours, 50 hours a week, how am I going to achieve that working 10 hours a week? Like, those two things don't go together. And it's like, yes, they do. They really do. And actually, it goes beyond that. So let's take that example of the $200,000 lifestyle, right? You want to have $200,000 so you have disposable income so that you can spend it on things. Take it back. What is it that you will spend that money on? What is it that you want to do? Because the reality is that right now, living in New York or London or Chicago or wherever the hell it is that you live, that is quite unrealistic. But that amount that you've set is because that's how much it would cost to do that there, right? But if you move over to Bali or Cambodia or Thailand, you can do that on $50,000, $60,000 a year. So, and that's very achievable. So it's about understanding what it is that you can do to live that lifestyle. It's about taking it that step deeper, as you say, about, the guy with the car, for example. It's like, well, why is it you want that car? What feeling is it you're trying to connect to with that? Are you going to be able to, you buying a tank so that you don't have to sit in a traffic jam anymore and just roll over people? Or like, what is it why is it you want to do this? And if you can understand that, that's where the magic and success really starts to come into it. But I definitely think it's an old mindset that is people are packaging it to this day so that they can sell their courses to you and stuff. Cause it's like, oh, you believe you have to work harder? Great. I'm going to sell you that work harder pill. And it's just not true. It's just not true.
No, it's not. And I love what you said about how people don't have the sort of mindset that Tim Ferriss will work 4 hours a week because they're already not achieving what they want in 40 or 50 hours. And
Exactly.
there's also this illusion that if we're busy, we're going to get results. But the busier we are, the less mental space we have, the less energy we have. And this makes it a lot harder to do proper work somehow, like to get real results, because you need to have a certain energy and concentration. I mean, I'm all about focus, hence my brand, the Focus Bee. So you can't have that focus working 15 hours a day. You just can't.
No. Well, I do this thing and it works really well for me, which is I do one strategy call a day. So one-on-one call with my clients each day. They love it because they know they're getting the best of me. Now, if I can, doesn't always work this way because I work globally, so time difference doesn't always allow this. But if I can, that call is usually the first call I do in the morning, because I'll get up, I get showered, I get myself ready, and then I do the Tony Robbins priming exercise. And I get myself really pumped up, and then I dive straight in as the best version of me to this strategy call. And invariably, these calls are, Phil, here's what's working and here's what's not working. And one of the things that I get fed back a lot from my customers is I always seem to take their problems and see it as an opportunity instead. And it's like, oh, we can do this and we can do this. And we can bring these people in. And oh, now we can do this. I mean, I had one the other day and my client was like, I genuinely don't know how you've just done this. He said, I'm now leaving this call really excited with a big smile on my face, with a plan as to how we're going to do this. And I started the call by telling you that I've just lost my biggest paying client. And you've just made me think this is an amazing opportunity, because now we're not jumping through all their hoops. We can go and find people that are a better fit, and we can go and, this is a great time. You've just been given a lot of time back. You've just been given a gift, say thank you. Don't get upset about it. And it's like, that's okay. It's a different way of looking at it. But you're so right. Like, would I still have had that same mentality or that same answer if I was having that call at the back end of a 14, 15-hour day? Or would I have just joined in with them going, yeah, that's a real pain, isn't it? That's a real negative. Maybe, I don't know. But by being able to give the best of me to my clients and being able to focus on when and that priming exercise and all that kind of stuff, yeah, your value goes up because you can add more. So, it's about going from a time-based currency to a solution-based currency. So stop thinking about how much time you're putting into something and instead focus on the value add, and then focus on how you can get that value add as efficiently as possible.
Absolutely. And as my mentor once said, your vitality is the highest asset in your business. So I often think in terms of energy, but using the word vitality is also very relevant, I feel here.
Extremely. Yeah, completely agree. It's a good mentor.
Yes. Thank you so much, Phil, for sharing all of this. I've learned so much. Where can people find you? If they want to get in touch with you, if they want to find out more, where's the best place to reach you?
Sure. Well, thank you for having me, first and foremost. It's been great to be here. I hope your audience have taken a lot away from this. You can find me at billionairesinboxers.com. Or indeed, you can head over to Google. I have a very unique surname. So if you just search for Phil Pelucha, which is Pelucha, you will find me on there. A little bit of a secret for you. I actually only do my LinkedIn social media and my Twitter myself. The rest of it's managed by somebody else. So if you want to talk to me directly, definitely LinkedIn or Twitter is a good place to go. But yeah, you can always find out details about us on our website. Check out the podcast, go and have some fun on there. There's lots of interviews for you to listen to.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Phil, for being here.
Thank you for having me. It's been a real pleasure.
Thank you. Bye.